Hi, and welcome to our product demonstration today. I'm joined by Karen Waldron, who is Director of Product Development at LexisNexis, and Madeleine Graham, who's Principal Product Manager at LexisNexis. And we're going to be talking about AI in your legal workflow. Hi, Karen. Hi, Madeleine.
Hi there.
Hi, Karen.
Thank you so much for joining me. So specifically, we're going to be demoing two products that are very much interrelated, and we're going to be looking at how they're interrelated in the workflow. So we're going to be looking at your Gen AI products, Lexis AI and Create AI. We're going to be looking at, as I said, about how they fit together. So Lexis AI combines legal research and practical guidance, while Lexis Create AI is your Gen AI legal drafting, or your legal drafting solution, which fits in with Lexis AI. It's a lot of terminology. But so, Karen, your team's working on enhancing Lexis AI in the browser, and Madeleine, your team is working on the sort of the Create side of that.
That's correct.
So this demo will be looking specifically about how you can move between those two systems, how the data flows, and it's effectively a web to workflow demo. I quite like the sound of that.
That's right.
So we're going to be talking about, first of all, Lexis AI. So that's Karen going to you, and we're going to have a look at the functionality, and then we're going to come on to you, Madeleine, and then I'm going to ask some questions.
So thank you, Caroline. So as you said, we're here today to talk about Lexis AI and how the AI assistant can be used to streamline legal research and legal drafting tasks seamlessly between the browser and within Microsoft Word today. So just to kind of orientate us, Lexis AI and the browser sits on top of and is fully integrated with our Lexis Plus content product, and is grounded in the LexisNexis content itself. It's been built to have 4 features. I'm just going to do a quick run through each one and then finish on drafting, so I can, with Madeleine, show how that can work through into the Microsoft Word environment. And these 4 features have been based on our own customer research around the key tasks that lawyers feel have the most efficiency potential for generative AI. We've built a very guided user experience to help users get quickly up to speed with what's included. So we have examples here showing you the types of prompts that you can use, for example, and also showing you the content that is using to ground those responses in. So as I said, I'll give a quick overview of the features, then pass over to Madeleine. So first, we're going to start with looking at Ask a Legal Question. So I'm just going to pop a prompt in here. And while I put this question in, and it's generating the response, I'll just explain how Lexis AI works. So it uses a combination of Lexis's experience of semantic legal search and our own proprietary RAG tool, together with the LLM's language reasoning ability. And it uses that combination to break down the prompt that you've put in and understand the intent of that prompt. And then, as you'll see here, is running searches based on that over the LexisNexis content to identify relevant documents, which are then brought back, and then those documents are semantically ranked to identify the best documents for the response, and then it constructs the answer from those top documents. So it's wholly grounded in Lexis content. And you'll see as we move down here through the response, you'll see both embedded within the text of the response itself and listed at the bottom, you'll see these links through to the content that have been used as the basis for the answer. So that's really critical as well, because part of the Lexis AI service, when it retrieves the response, is checking and validating these links. So we know that these are valid links to the law, and then providing a hypertext link through to that underlying content. So for example, here, if we click through to one of those documents, because it's fully integrated into Lexis Plus, it goes straight through to that content. And then you can read around from here, you can do further research, you can read through the information that's been taken from. If we go back to the response that's been generated. The other thing, as well as semantically ranking those top responses, it will also provide at the bottom of the answer here some links to some further reading or related material that it's identified through the intent recognition and the original searches. And here this provides a kind of a map through some of the underlying content that could be relevant for useful for further reading. And what our customers have said about this as well is that some people find this like really valuable because it helps to highlight content that they might not know existed, or that they may not have constructed a search themselves to retrieve. So it gives that kind of handy map of wider research. So it's a very good starting point, as well as providing the answer itself. So if we just go back to the response here, the other thing that we can do is ask a follow-up question. So I'm just going to pop another question in here. Here, this is where you can have this, as you'd expect from AI, this kind of conversational search ability. So you can refine your answer. And again, you'll see that it retains the context of the first answer. So it's formulating that, understanding the context, and again is going to bring back a response, and it's going to link as well to the content that is used in that follow-up answer to provide the response. And you can keep doing this. You may see some element within the response that kind of prompts another question or takes you off on a tangent. So you can keep refining and asking follow-up questions. Currently, we have 5 conversational turns or 5 questions within one conversation. This is very shortly going to be increased to 10. So that's the Ask a Legal Question part of the service. I'm just going to start a new conversation so we can show you another feature here.
Can I just interrupt, Karen?
Of course you can.
So with that prompt, there's a lot of conversations around prompts. You've obviously got your preset prompts.
Yes.
What if, and lawyers aren't necessarily inherently good at prompts, perhaps slightly ironically, given that I think lawyers are really good at language. But so how important is it to get the prompt right, in inverted commas?
Well, we have worked very hard to make this a very easy product to use, and that's what a lot of customers have said, that it is very easy to pick up and use. So we don't, for example, require people to have set formats for prompts. However, we also will provide training on how to create a good one. We also have some prompt tips that are available, which will help people to kind of think about what they're putting in. And some of the things that make a very good prompt are, being clear about the jurisdiction. If there are any specific things where you really want to make sure that's included, you can state that. But really, because of the semantic search capabilities that we've built up, we really wanted to make this as kind of natural language and as simple as possible. So you see here from the example that I've put in, that you don't have to be a very advanced user or very experienced at prompts in order to get a good answer out of the system. But these kind of tips will help.
Okay, that's great. And then it's they don't have to be concerned. It's grounded in LexisNexis data.
In LexisNexis data, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And so it will list and refer to the content that is used to generate that answer, so that you can read straight from the source material.
The sourcing is so important, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing that's really critical is this validation of the citations as they are produced. So it won't just generate the content, but where it refers, for example, to a case here, it will validate and check that citation, and then that is a real case and that it's linking to the proper place before it provides it. And so that's part of that validation of citation. It's also really important.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so on that note, I will just move to summarizing case law. You can enter a case name here, a case citation as part of the prompt tips. If you have a citation, we always encourage people to include that as a unique kind of identifier. But you can also search by case name. And you'll see when the case summary comes back that we're not just providing a shortened form of words for a longer judgment, for example, we provide a structured case summary. So you'll see here that we've pulled out some of the key things around that case summary, like the key legal findings, the material facts of the case, the law, the submissions of the parties, the rationale of the court, and the decision. And again, it's got that link through to the underlying case itself. So you can always go in and read more in Lexis Plus as well.
Do they have to be worried, do they have to, presumably this is all straight from the case. There's no chance of, there's no chance of, I know that, there will obviously, it's all very new and obviously there's some concerns. Can they be assured that all of those facts that you're bringing up in that summary are from the case?
Yes. So that's part of when it has understood the intent of your prompt. Sometimes it will have identified more than one case, for example, but it will tell you this is the case that we're summarizing. It will then provide the information from the case itself. It's totally grounded just in that document that it's found. And it will pull out, as I've said, those key headings around what the key findings are and that kind of thing. So it's all directed at the LexisNexis document that's relevant to that.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I'll just very quickly show the upload function. So this was something that was requested by customers when we tested the product before launch. And it's very easy to I'm just going to drag and drop a couple of documents in here to use as an example. And while those are uploading, you can see here that you can upload up to 10 files at once. And those uploads can be up to 400,000 characters. We will mention later where we're looking at full DMS integration. Obviously, that's a much wider capability. This is just intended to be a very quick upload so that you can ask a question or just quickly summarize things. And again, customers have said that if they want to summarize a long paper, a chapter of something, a long judgment, that kind of thing, it's quite useful for doing that kind of thing. But here I've chosen to ask a question about these two examples that I've brought up. I will say as well at this point, you'll see here the documents that are uploaded here are highly secure. They're encrypted and they're deleted at the end of the session. So that's usually after about 10 minutes. They're entirely deleted from the system. And they're kept very separate from the LLM itself. Nothing is used to directly train the system. And so you can be kind of confident about the privacy and security of documents that are uploaded here.
And I should ask that, so that's not like a kind of opt-in, that's just across the board. They can just expect that. There's not a kind of, they have to sort of secure that. It's just a case of that's just what it is.
That's how it works. That's how it works. Now, there is an option if you like to opt out of the upload capability, but it does come as standard and the vast majority of people will use that.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's just simply that, and with some other cases, like there's been some examples with Microsoft, for example, where they have to opt out. I think it's just people are becoming more aware. So it's great that they don't have to think about that.
Yes, exactly. And here you'll see it provides just a summary. It's using the same search capability that we saw earlier. So it's using that legal semantic search understanding, but it's directing this time not at the Lexis content, but just at the content that's been uploaded. So I'll just turn now to drafting. I will just talk a little bit about how Lexis Plus can be used to draft documents. So you'll see here at the bottom, again, we've got some examples of the types of things that can be drafted here. So we can draft things like communications, emails, letters, that kind of thing, as well as legal arguments and clauses. So I'm going to start with an example of drafting a letter. Again, I've just added a little bit of information here, not as, you could add a lot more. But again, where this is useful is just to provide that first draft, to take away that kind of empty page starting point so that you've got something to copy and to work from. And again, what it's doing here is it's looking for information from the LexisNexis suite of content in order to help with drafting that letter. So, and then generating, you'll see again at the end, there'll be a list of things that it is used, practice notes, practical guidance from various places to construct the first draft of this letter. And you can copy it then into Word, or you can do things like you can soften the tone, you can ask a legal question, you can do some more follow-up information as well. I'm actually going to ask it in this instance. I think it's being a little bit too polite. So I'm going to ask it to make the tone more assertive. In the US, they tend to say, make this more aggressive. We're a little bit more polite here. We give you an option to soften the tone, but you can ask it to change. And you'll see here that the letter has become shorter. The language has become much more immediately cease and desist, and we demand things. So it's just a way of kind of changing that and refining that draft. You can see in the draft that's being created that you can change the tone if you have a desired kind of language. Again, you can just have this conversation with the system to refine the draft as you wish.
With this, so where is this drawing this from in terms of?
This is drawing it from. Sorry, let me go back. Sorry, Caroline, I'm giving you an editing issue here, but let me just go back to the thing, and you'll see as we get to, again, similar to with ask a question, it'll show at the bottom what it's used. So we may not have a letter that does exactly this, but it will take information from practice notes on relevant subjects and use that to construct the content of the letter. And again, you can click through into any of these and you can read around and you can see where that's been drawn from.
So obviously there's this question around the secret sauce, or how do firms use generative AI but maintain their own consistency, maintain their own, use their own precedents, etc.
Yes.
How, in your interactions with firms so far, how did they respond to this? Is this something that they think would encourage fee earners to use, or might they say, well, actually, we want to do it in our own way?
Yes, it's a very good question. What people are finding is that it's a very good first draft or starting point. So they'll use it to make sure that they've captured the things within the letter that that we should mention. But they may decide to soften the tone, to change the wording, to then work from there, but they're not working from scratch. Also, a lot of people use it to as almost a second opinion, or to look for things they may have missed. So they may not take the draft in whole, but they may scan through it and decide that there's a piece in there that that they could take. It's similar when Madeleine will show you how the clause drafting can be used to augment what you've already got, or to provide a comparison or another point of view.
Interesting. So maybe they could even load up, if they had created their own letter, they could potentially load that up as a document and then get some kind of like commentary on that potentially as well.
Hold that thought, because there's very much what we're going to be talking about when we talk about the future. Right. So at the moment, as I showed you in the upload, you can upload and summarize or ask a question just about that content. But what's coming in terms of our personalization is the ability to upload and analyze and do the kind of things that that you have given an example there. So is there anything to add to this? Is there something else that we could do? But in terms of that advice, that's also something that happens within the product. So I'm just going to give you an example of drafting a clause. So here I'm going to ask it to draft a limitation of liability clause for a pro-customer supplier services agreement. So I've given it some context, but being deliberately quite broad in what I'm asking for here. And so again, what it's doing is it's understanding the intent of that, and it's going to search for Lexis content that is relevant. So that could be from our encyclopedia forms of precedence, from our clause banks, and then pulling back and creating from that a clause as a starting point. So you'll see here, it hasn't just drafted the clause that we could take and copy into an existing agreement or contract that we're working on, but it's also pulled out here the defined terms. But here it's given you some suggestions for things that I haven't asked for that may make that better. And again, it's showing where it's taken those suggestions from. So in our guidance, when people do that, it might be a good idea to include some of these other clauses as well. And again, I can follow some of that suggestions and then ask it to, add a provision that
Do you
that
have to
is
be
right.
very careful with the prompting on this? I've seen examples of where the Gen AI returns, if you ask for certain clauses, it can assume you want, I think it's going to express it quite badly, but an entire contract and almost like make up the rest. If you know what I mean? It kind of fills gaps if you're not careful, if the prompt isn't accurate.
Yes. Well, what this does is it specifically here I've asked it to do a clause, and it will draft specific clauses. So as here, it's given me what I've asked for, but then it's suggested some things that I might want to think about. So it hasn't just included, other things, but it will make those suggestions, and then I can follow those suggestions in the next prompt.
Okay.
So it is quite good at keeping to specifically what it's asked for.
Okay, great.
But then you can follow it up. And again, it will give you more suggestions after that for some other clauses you might think about and show you where it has come from. So that's essentially how drafting and the other features work within the browser environment. So we're now going to show you how we could do that across and between the browser and Word. So I'll hand over to Madeleine, who can take it from here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. So as Karen said, a key part of Lexis Plus AI is that it's with you wherever you're working, whether that's in browser or in Word. I'm now in Lexis Create, which is our Microsoft 365 drafting platform. As you can see, I've got my AI assistant here, which is Lexis Plus AI in Word. And you'll see the same functionality that we've just looked through on the browser in terms of asking questions about the documents, asking legal questions based on Lexis Plus content, generating drafts, or summarizing cases. And a key part is that you can access your chat history as well from Word. So here I am in my chat history. So let's imagine that in Karen's demonstration, that was actually me on the browser. Your chat history is personal to you. So what I can do is I'm in Word now, and yesterday I was researching limitation of liability clauses. Here we are. Here's my limitation of liability clause, one of my previous conversations. As you saw in the demo, this looked good, but I wanted to include some more information around insurance cover. So here's the question around that, taking the context from the earlier draft. And as you can see, here is my clause that's available to me, and it includes provision for insurance as well. Now, I was happy with this and I added it into my Word documents. As you can see on the left-hand side, there's my limitation of liability clause. And if I scroll down, as you can see, there we go with the insurance cover. Now, just to flag at this stage, because these are just so crucial for our customers, our content and our drafting, you can see where it came from in terms of the Lexis Plus content. It makes it really easy for me to check in terms of the source contents. We've also got the related material, which is the further content that it's based on. And again, I can just jump in to any of these links and have a look myself on the browser. Also, I was checking in terms of what warranties might be implied by law for a services agreement. This is something that my client asked me. Again, Lexis Plus AI was there in the browser, and here I am in Word. I'm really conveniently able to access this information myself. Again, we have the content supporting the response and the related material. As you can see, here's Halsbury's. If I click on this, this will just take me straight through to Halsbury's. And if I want to do some further reading here, there we are, the meaning of warranty. It's worth mentioning, of course, that there's no other AI that has our proprietary content such as Halsbury. And this is something that again and again our customers call out is really liking about Lexis Plus AI. Let's start a new conversation and imagine I'm pivoting practice area and I want to draft a letter to a GP requesting assessment of my client who wants to make a will. So here we can see it's going through our content, it's checking the sources, and once that loads up again, I'll be able to see the source content that this response was pulled from. Also worth mentioning that once Lexis Plus content is updated, it's available to our AI just 10 minutes later. Also, all of the security protections that Karen referenced apply equally to Word, so our clients can rest assured that we take data privacy extremely seriously. Having a look at this, I'm reading through it because, of course, as with any auto-generated response from AI, you need to check it, but I'm satisfied with this. Again, I can see that I have the links there and the related material, but in this instance, I'm happy with the letter that's been drafted. So I'm going to copy this and then I'm going to drop it into a Word document and I will send this to my clients. Just quickly though, I want to have a look at the requirements for a valid will. That's going to take me through to Lexis Plus contents on the browser, and I'm able to just quickly check that section that I wanted to read. While I'm here, as you can see, we've got the AI in the top right corner, and again, the AI experience is integrated wherever you are in LexisNexis. As you can see, here are all my previous conversations that I was having in Word with our AI assistant. They're all there, available for me to access. And also, I can start a new conversation. Let's just show you that. I'm going to hand back to you, Caroline, because I'm sure you have some questions.
Just in light of time, if I could just, I suppose this jumps slightly towards what we were saying about the roadmap, but how does that differ in terms of that's the sort of degree of personalization, right? Like we've been talking about the roadmap being more personalization, and you've obviously got Protégé coming out, which is your AI assistant. Does that differ vastly to this? Because obviously this is to a certain extent a personalization in itself.
Yes, it is different. You've seen from the demo that you can tailor the responses you've got and you can refine them. But you mentioned Protégé, and Protégé takes that to a whole other level. So Protégé is the name for the third generation of Lexis Plus AI capabilities that was recently announced in the US. And they're going to be moving to live customer testing in the US in the next month or so. So that does feature a lot of new capabilities that are powered by things like DMS integration, an expansion of the use cases that are tailored to each user, and that seamless integration. But it's key to how it's different is in 5 kind of areas of personalization. And the first one is that it's built to know my own work and my own work product. So that's where the DMS integration comes from. So you can search internal firm data and combine that with AI. It enables batch upload capabilities. We talked about analyzing your own documents. So it will provide that, and it will provide contextual recommendations based on your own content. The second area is knowing your workflow. And that is, it integrates across LexisNexis solutions, not only in Word, but in Teams, in the Copilot plugin that's coming. The third pillar is it knowing more about my tasks. So we're really imbuing it with much more legal knowledge. So it supports a whole range of new use cases that it wouldn't do at the minute, including analyzing documents, drafting full documents, redlining, understanding litigation processes. The fourth one is knowing me and how I like to do things. So we've talked about, differences in tone, but based on my own profile, my past behaviors, the kinds of things I like to do, then it could create recommendations based on that. And the final one is just additional capabilities on knowing about new tech. So that includes things like prompts by voice, multimedia processing. So it is a big step forward. It's not just the DMS integration, but the way that it personalizes to the user will be new.
And then just, I suppose, lastly, unfortunately, in light of time, but it's so, because it is a fascinating area, just probably don't have time, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So the DMS, so I think there's a lot of excitement, but / nervousness around the DMS. You're sort of opening up where you've got your own content and, you can show sourcing, etc. There's less concern than perhaps when you open a firm to the whole of their DMS in terms of all of the issues that presents. But so you've got ways of controlling that already in terms of perhaps sort of certain sets of the DMS, etc.
That's right? Correct. Yes, that's right. So with the Henchman integration work that's currently in development, of course, all the securities are respected in terms of what content our users have access to. So, for example, you can mark certain documents as gold standard or certain documents not to be used. We're also developing databases that our customers can set up, so that's collections of documents that they want to use, whether that's for a particular client or indeed a particular practice area. So there are a number of ways that our customers can make sure that they can access those gold standard clauses.
Okay, that's great. I think that would be quite reassuring, because right now I think there's so much potential, but obviously so much for potential for it to go wrong.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we are at time. I really appreciate you making the time to speak with me today. I think people will find that really valuable, and I look forward to the next instalment, as it were. Karen, you and I spoke. You've been doing this. You know, you're one of the earliest. I remember we spoke a really long time ago.
A really long time ago, yeah.
So in long time in Gen AI terms, anyway.
Yes, indeed. And I've been developing products here at LexisNexis for over 20 years, but this is the fastest we've seen anything go. So no doubt we'll talk again soon about a whole new range.
Yeah, thank you both for making the time.
Lovely
Thanks,
speech,
Caroline.
Caroline. Thank you.
Bye.